Alright, so the road to the tower that Samael generously still open for us is not that much different from the Serpentine Hall.
It says Devil May Cry Final Dungeon written all over it.
Mind you, this is just us getting there. The tower is gonna be technically different. This is, remember, these screens are there just to cover a loading screen.
But god, don't they look epic.
I mean, it's orange, one of the more marketable colors, apparently.
And the ancient runes that light up as you walk amongst the tiles.
I mean, again, that was a thing also for the regular Serpentine halls. Alright.
Also, I'm kind of surprised they let you, like, jump across. I figured that, with how cinematic this game was, they'd want you to walk across every mile of it.
In some of the Serpentine halls, if I recall correctly, I mentioned, there are some particular treasure chests that you can find. So it's recommended that you give it a look. So this is where the tower begins, and so my pain, because this is a dungeon with like 2, 4, 6, like 8 floors. The game wants you to spend quite a bit of time here. It's not technically the final dungeon, and yet it is at the same time, because this is not where the game ends, but after this there are no more major dungeons, quote unquote. You'll be able to see after we're done with this. For now, we need to trade the one person who we need to do favors for another.
Azrael.
The angel Azrael, voiced by Keith Cervezia.
Was not broken. What have you to fear from me, Angel of Death? If you do not intend to kill me, then perhaps you will help me.
You know things are messed up when the Angel of Death is scared of us.
Gate must be shut.
I remember the Horseman as emissaries of the Char Council basically earn respect from every faction present, supposedly.
Millions of souls, yes, enslaved, twisted.
So yeah, the Destroyer is using the tower to amass souls to fuel his demons.
Of the underworld, watcher of the well. Not a single soul flows back into this world without you knowing. Unless...
Sounds like someone caught you lacking, Gatekeeper.
The Destroyer sent the mightiest of his chosen against me. I fared no better than you did, Horseman. Against Straga. Straga. You will take me to him.
Ivan Draga? Straga, I mean?
Then tell me what I must do. Angel of Death.
Alright, again, this is where my pain begins, because now we need to, first of all, find a way to give energy, yes, really, to these 3 statues that surround Azrael's cage. This is just a, basically a prison for him. Sounds simple, right? See, technically yes, but the thing is that in order to activate each of the statues, we need to basically resolve a mini gauntlet on its own right. Meaning that we're gonna have to stay in this tower for quite a bit.
Oh, joy. Also,
I mean, I like the challenge, the type of challenge or puzzle, but this is just, something that can go on. Like, do not do this in one sitting. Take your sweet ass time.
Oh, it drags that much? Dang.
You'll see.
So he mentioned that the Destroyer brought his chosen. So since we've established that the bosses we've been facing aren't like the true chosen, I wonder if it turns out that the chosen he was talking about will actually turn out to be like a boss rush that we have to face in this tower. Like,
for the time being, we just need to open a path. It will become more complicated later. No, when both Samael and Azrael meant by the Chosen were the ones that were imbued with the power of Samael, and while Straga doesn't have the beating heart that the others do have, it still has considerable amount of power that, we need to destroy.
Okay. So for all intents and purposes, they were technically still the Chosen. It's just that Samael was lying about them guarding the tower, which Again, seems quite suspect. I don't know if that'll be dealt with in this game or if it'll be sequel
No.
hook.
Samuel's story arc is possibly the one plot thread that is taking just as long as the main plot to actually go through.
I guess, to be fair, that's kind of what happens when most of your games are like
Yes,
prequels.
I mean, Jova, you played Kingdom Hearts, so this is not your first rodeo with this.
No, it is not. I mean, you know, I guess at least with this one, there's not a mobile title that somehow has important lore that's essential for a big, groundbreaking point in the series.
I mean, okay, like I said, there were 2 comic lines, but like I said, you don't really need them. So even when it comes to tie-in materials to this game, it's pretty light on...
I will say this, my stance on supplementary material is as follows. I typically don't mind it, so long as it's not something that makes someone feel like they need to do homework to get the main plot, essentially. Like, hey, you want to make a comic or something expanding on something? That's cool. If it's something I absolutely have to read to get what's going on in, like, the final game, and, well, it's a comic that's become a lot more rare and harder to find, by legal means anyway, that's not a good way to map things out. Like, at the very least, you should make it available in, like, a special edition of a later game or something. Like, we can read stuff in games just fine, too, with some of these comics, so if you have to do it, at least make it accessible.
Alright, now we need to actually open the path towards one of those supplementary towers, like this. No, first I need to actually turn, remember, I need to use the crossblade for these buttons.
It looked like he was trying to throw the hook shot, but then just decided not to in midair.
If I can correctly cancel the animation of me jump. There you go.
Yes,
Again,
the alpha.
you have to treat these like a proper Zelda game, including that each single room is you know, a separate challenge in its own right, and you basically gain territory inch by inch with that.
Truly, the athletes of heaven and hell must have had a ball with how this tower is oriented.
Clearly. Alright, it's also, you might also notice the abundance of those stained glass circles that we have encountered scatteredly throughout, which means it's time for us to get our last major puzzle-solving gadget. We'll get another one of that, but it will not be as important. For the time being, we just need to solve, whoa, more corrupted angels, but this time are blood red.
Ooh, red lanterns.
Yeah, they do kind of exude that kind of, you know, red energy that is similar to the blood of red lanterns.
It's interesting how, with the big Lantern Corps retcon, they eventually expanded on the Red Lanterns and go that it's not simply being angry that makes you a Red Lantern, because tons of people can do that, but it's like, you gotta feel either a never-ending rage, or you gotta have rage born from sorrow and just the want that nobody else will suffer what it is you suffered, essentially.
You know, like Darkstar.
And also, yes, the cat. Oh lord, the Red Lantern cat. Love that. I do find it weird how, despite that super form looking as cool as it is, that it kind of hits like a bit of a wet sponge in some areas.
Yeah, it lacks a bit of impact. Again, I really wish that some of the enemies, particularly the bigger ones, they had better staggering animations, particularly for bigger blows. I get why they didn't do that, because otherwise every enemy will turn into basically a mannequin, kinda sorta like Devil May Cry, where you can just juggle them perpetually. So, you know, I get the idea of raising a bit of challenge, but for your super mode, I think we should basically have that being an instant, you know, I ragdoll you the way I want.
Pretty much, like, come on, look, I'm the Horseman of War, let me showcase it. I just think, if you're not gonna let it be as powerful as it could be, even with upgrades, then maybe save it for, like, I don't know, super selective scenarios where he gets to power up and really cut loose as opposed to kind of having it as a bit of a pool noodle power up.
Alright, I forgot to mention, another thing important to mention is that during the entirety of the tower there are no bulging shock sections, so you kinda need to rely on all the tools that you have. Specifically, again, this one that we get. So, let's see, what was another important thing at the time that was popular and could be neat for puzzle solving? Something about using circles with different colors, something about portals.
Portal.
Right, it's called the Void Walker. Yeah, sure, I know what a portal gun is when I see it.
So, how long until Cave Johnson sues them for plagiarism?
I mean, to be fair, it's a technically nerf compared to the portal gun, because instead of the portal gun in universe, it's recognized that it works only on surfaces coated in moon dust. This is established, if I recall correctly, in the second portal game. While in this, you have to rely just on the context-sensitive, stained glass windows. The difference is that you can charge the portals before shooting the location, so that if whatever object or war enters from a portal that has been charged up will come out on the other sprinting instead of just a regular. So this opens up, in terms of puzzle solving when it comes to, jumping to other surfaces or moving objects, at a faster rate. So that's actually pretty neat.
But of course. So what you're telling me is that basically mad scientist J. Jonah Jameson was able to come up with a more powerful gun than a forger from hell.
I mean, I guess.
And I'm not kidding, Blibs. Cave Johnson is legit played by J.K. Simmons.
Huh.
Doing the kind of performance you would expect a man famous for playing J. Jonah Jameson at the time.
Honestly, I think it's okay. To be fair, Portal 2 in general did get a bit of star power by having also famously Stephen Merchant as Whitley. So
that is true, and of course, the woman behind GLaDOS as well.
Oh, she was already in the first game.
Which I'll give you 3 guesses as to her true identity, since I'll probably save that as a surprise for when we finally
clearly
do
she
cover
was the
Portal.
announcer from Team Fortress 2. They're played by the same person, so of course she needs to be her.
Totally, yes, and there's no deep pathos behind her true identity and all that jazz.
I mean, that's what Australian does to your soul, I guess.
I just find it funny that with all the dramatic reveals that come in Portal, they're all being witnessed by basically a troll of a silent woman who... Okay, I'm gonna be honest, I do think half the time Shell's just doing it for the love of the game at some point.
Well, Shell is one of those protagonists that, again, Mute doesn't say anything, like you said, but unlike, say, the Doom Marine, her actions do not really tell much of what she's thinking. Like, you would think that she's a case of, oh, she has complete disdain over the machines and just wants to get out, which I think that's the core, sentiment that they're having. But at the same time, she doesn't really express that on her own. Like, this is mostly because, compared to Half-Life, Portal tends to rely mostly on just the core puzzle solving rather than environmental storytelling, although that is still present. Anyway, at the end of each of the mini-tower, you need to face one of these motherfuckers, these specific golems that you need to destroy bit by bit. The weak point is up top, so of course this is a mini-puzzle in its own right. You need to use what you learned about making portals in order to find a way to fly onto the top of a monster. Like this. Well,
on the one hand...
because, yeah, that happens to it.
On the one hand, the amount of damage you keep losing does suggest that the game wants you to learn how to parry. On the other hand, the fact that you've been managing to
this attack is unparable. It's best if you potentially dodge. Every time you need to whack more the inner circle, then it will actually start doing this rotation maneuver. And normally I'm supposed to also dodge it by using the portal, but again, limited rules, I did not prepare ones in advance.
But anyway, back to what I was saying, like, The fact that a lot of these attacks really do suck away a lot of damage seems to suggest that the game wants you to learn maneuverability, you know, dodging or parrying or rolling and whatnot. But the fact that you've been able to more or less deal with this relatively fine without committing to those shows that I guess there's enough flexibility in it.
To an extent, but it's more about, you know, learning to read the enemy attacks. Because again, you can imagine, you know, it still might not be my first attempt.
I guess I shouldn't be surprised the series did eventually do its own Souls-like game.
Yeah.
If anything, this was definitely one of the closer things to that kind of gameplay style, you know, before it became a thing, obviously.
It still was relatively, it still was more closer to God of War 3, to be honest, which came around the
Definitely.
same time.
Yeah. I'm just saying that with
Every
the design
time you
philosophy
need
of
to do
this...
this finisher.
Are you gonna hit him in the crotch?
Close, I guess, because we need to release the specific core, which is, as Azrael mentioned, you know, filled with souls, in order to power up the central orb, which shoots above, you know, a beam of energy. And now it's your job to lead this beam of energy all the way back to the central room. And that's
Oh boy, a
and that's
mirror
where the
slash portal puzzle.
And that's where the portals come in. I guess this is the closest to, say, the Shadow Temple from Ocarina of Time, but even then it had its own kind of quirks.
I guess this kind of begs the question, like, given that we make new portals each time, shouldn't that mean that eventually the portal laser would get cut off from where the portal that it initially started from has to
Good
dissipate?
observation, Trova. You might have noticed, but the game is actually about to answer you in just a second, that there are some conveniently placed orbs that absorbs it and will then redistribute it once we get to the ground.
Okay, well played, game.
It's still the fact that you need to, you know, do all the trek back, and you may notice that the array damages you if you come in contact with it, so you need to watch out.
I think I can see, though, where this might start to make the game drag a bit, because I feel like it should be enough to just, you know, defeat the guy, have the energy go back to Azrael, but you gotta go back down, like you said, 8 flights, essentially.
Well, in total, there is, you know, this is just a journey for one beam. After this, you need to do it 2 more times.
What fun!
Truly. But no, what I was saying is that Chell is, as a protagonist, is fine, but I think she's still kind of a step down compared to Gordon Freeman, because, okay, Half-Life 2 has the kind of problem where everyone starts sucking Gordon's dick just for the fact what he did in the first Half-Life, even though, you know, by that point, because of stuff happening with the G-Man, it doesn't really make sense that everyone should adore him instantly. But by the end of Half-Life 2 I could get it, and while in 2 does not really express you know, his emotion with his actions, because again, it's supposed to be an avatar of the player, I argue that because of the environmental storytelling and the dialogue present is a bit better, while in Portal you're constantly just bombarded by you know, GLaDOS telling how you're just insignificant, she's gonna step on you, which is, you know, in itself a remnant to System Shock. But you can kind of tell that they're probably trying to make it a bit more personal with that. So it is there and not at the same time, I argue.
My take is that, okay, I do agree with you that Portal gives Cho way less opportunity to really show off her personality, because it's kind of by design that Portal is, I don't want to say a bottle episode because you're technically going to different rooms, but you more or less are stuck to, like, the laboratory for that game, essentially. And I feel like maybe that's to reflect that because Chell has been stuck in that sort of environment, she's kind of not really much for personality. My other take is also that she keeps silent just so that she does not give GLaDOS the satisfaction, because GLaDOS constantly, and I do mean constantly, talks the ever-loving crap onto Chell. But my take is that Chell sees it as a game where if she just, you know, goes wild and rants back at GLaDOS, GLaDOS wins.
And besides, I think on a, you know, on a meta level, it would be much less tolerable for the player if we did get a protagonist that constantly goes, well, that just happened, you know.
Yeah, like
we do get the closest we get is a glimpse, I will say, is during the final boss fight of the second Portal game, specifically the way it ends. Again, to keep it very relatively contained, the way the fight is resolved is Chell improvising an action using the portal gun in a way that uses its main rules but in an unexpected way, so that shows a bit more, you know, her personality of wanting to resolve the conflict in improvising in a way, even no matter how much it costs. Anyway, after you're done with each of the energy phases, if I recall correctly, Azrael will tell you a bit more what's going on.
Horseman, I never imagined that you would be my salvation. Hurry now, before Straga learns of your coming. When I found you, you said the seventh seal was not broken.
Yeah, we heard that at the beginning
I've
of the
heard
game.
those words before. Abaddon said the same, right before he died.
I wonder. We will learn more after the getting energy to the second skull. Now, the thing, in order to quote-unquote spice things up, every time you defeat one of the skulls, we energize it, Azrael is able to change a bit the room so it has a level of verticality to it, which is a bit of a pain in the ass because it means that you need to jump a bit up and down in order to reach the next rooms. Also, it's not super audible right now, but there's a bit of Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Eggman in Shadow the Hedgehog repeated in one lines of, in this case, Azrael constantly saying, redirect the beams, please. So if you're stuck in the room a bit too long, you will hear him saying a bit too much.
Joy.
Lovely, I know.
You know, again, it's funny to imagine bits like this that might really wear on a player's patience, but you just imagine that somehow the devs really had a lot of fun with this, which, you know, I guess to be fair, I've learned this from Mario Maker. Sometimes your own creations are going to feel a lot more fun for you than they will for anyone else, essentially. But sometimes I really do wonder if they truly found some of these things fun. Granted, there's obviously the obvious thing where maybe they ran out of time, especially closer to the end of the game, so they can only do so much to optimize, but I do wonder if maybe the name of the game was padding things out because the game wasn't as long as they had initially hoped.
It was also the team's first game anyway, so I don't remember if the people who made Vigil were from other development team anyway. I'll need to check.
Would you say that, okay, ignoring the obvious fact that, you know, each game has a different gameplay style, despite, you know, all the years and whatnot, and potential change in teams, does the series at least still feel like it has its overall identity at this
in
current
the
point in
aesthetic
time?
And storytelling, yes. So gameplay-wise, no, like I said. But I say more of a compliment kind of way.
Well, it's like I said, obviously the gameplay style not so much, because apparently by design each game is supposed to play super different.
Anyway, no, Visual Games was founded in 2005 by Joe Madureira himself, alongside David Allen, Marvin Donald and Ryan Stefanelli, which became part of the THQ family the year after and was located in Austin, Texas. So it was basically just, you know, a studio developed specifically for making this game, and THQ, the old THQ, fitted the bill back then to finance the development, which otherwise took roughly 4 years.
I noticed you've had to speed up quite a few times for just this
we're
one.
not gonna stop right now again, because remember, we're towards the end of the game, so the game loves to actually now put you in a lot of situations where it traps you in the rooms where you just, you know, need to deal with the combat.
I'm curious, did you actually listen to music while some of these padding bits were going on to help cope?
No, because I need to make, when I record something, I need to make sure everything is in order.
Oh, no, I meant, like, you know, I'm like, a set of earbuds, like obviously not something that would get picked up by the recorder itself.
No, because I still need to hear what's going on inside the game, brother.
Fair enough. I know we have
Also,
different
I
systems.
know what happened with that.
Weird. It's like with my over-the-ear headphones, I can sometimes afford to listen to something using my earbuds, but I know that's definitely not for everyone.
Let's see
Guys, you want to come over here?
No, I need to make sure. Remember, it's falling path. Yes, please.
Just remember, did this game come out before or after Portal?
Around the same time, in 2010, that's where Portal 2, if I recall correctly, was coming out. But the first Portal, I think, was already a thing because there was the thing called the Orange Box, which was Valve having console ports for its mainline game, Half-Life 2, Team Fortress 2, and Portal, at least one, if I recall correctly, for the PS3 and Xbox 360. That's
the thing. From what I remember, the consensus was that the PS3 version was inferior.
Yeah, well, even the Xbox
Kinda.
360 kinda. Like, thankfully these days, for example, the Switch port of Portal, of the Portal duology is actually not that bad, so they actually did a good job. I kind of wish that Valve would release that also onto PlayStation and, you know, Xbox, because why not?
So here's-
Deploy it,
So here's the thing, Glibs. You know how, you played Red Faction for us, which is clearly a game that was in that weird in-between point where shooters were more so for PC, but were slowly transitioning into the console market, essentially?
Yeah, because Red Faction was made for consoles first.
Portal was released in 2007, and I'd say Portal is probably a remnant of that era where it's technically kind of a shooter/platformer, but you can tell that it was made with PC aiming in mind.
well, that's because
essentially.
Valve technically always did that first for its games, mostly because for the three people who don't know, Valve, Gabe Newell used to work for Microsoft, was actually an alumni, and was actually fairly impressed when its software arrived with their DOS port for Windows for the original Doom, to the point where Bill Gates was shooting that horrible green screen commercial with him standing in E1M1 and saying, "These games are getting realistic."
Oh Lord Almighty!
Yeah.
I love. Don't you
When I-
just love hindsight?
Yeah, don't go saying stuff like that when the graphics you're standing in front of look inferior than the ones that were made for your PC 5 years before.
But we have to remember, at the time, those were state-of-the-art graphics, essentially.
So basically, Gabe took the inspiration from that and decided to, found his own company with its first major, product being, of course, the first Half-Life, which revolutionized the FPS genre for the better or for the worse, depending on
Basically,
what you see.
Basically, Dibs, to make a long story short, too late, the part of the reason that Portal was a bit wonky on console was because it was made more so with the mindset, first and foremost, for a PC. I believe Portal 2 would iron this stuff out a bit more. Portal 2 was released, 4 years later in 2011. And technically, as far as named Portal games go, that's it. But we did have some other stuff like
There was stuff
Bridge
like a level,
Constructor,
a level editor, basically.
or Aperture Hand Lab, which is a VR game of all things.
Yeah, in more
Aperture
recent
Desk
times,
Job.
Valve has decided to invest a bit in VR technology to see what they can do with it. Because again, their biggest concern and fault to an extent is wanting to push the technology forward with what they have, and this is also the main reason, by own admission of Gaben, of why Half-Life 3 has never come out, because they easily could have, make a story that, finishes the fight and everything, but they really are struggling to find things that will make the gameplay more diversified and interesting in pushing, which I do get it, but part of me would still like to see at the very least the story finished. Like, I was thinking, I don't know,
Yes.
maybe make a CGI animated movie at that point, or at least authorize it. But apparently, remember, according to the development of Secret Level, not even an episode titled that show, title Half-Life, was able to be greenlit. So Valve is a bit protective of that IP too.
I'll admit, my confusion has always been from, look, I get it, it's daunting, but did you guys forget that you kind of helped define the genre that's now booming from this stuff? Like, I'm sure people might give a bit of a pass to you if your thing is maybe not the most creative thing. It's like, it's a case of closure more than anything, kind of like with Legends 3.
Again, only time will tell. Maybe it will actually happen at some point, who knows.
That said,
Valve is concentrating right now on their new hero shooter game. I keep forgetting what it's called. It's basically gonna be, when people speculate, what's gonna replace Team Fortress 2.
God, imagine replacing Team Fortress 2. I'll just say good luck.
I mean, if there's someone who can actually pull it off, unlike the ongoing list of people who tried, it's Valve itself.
Go figure. Although, can I just say this? Half-Life Alyx kind of felt like a bit of a troll move to people who were praying for Half-Life 3.
I mean, okay, we'll say this to an extent, but at the very least I get why, because if they want to push for Half-Life 3, now we have a better way to actually segue into it, because the ending of Half-Life 2 Episode 2 had set up very specific conditions that right now probably we wouldn't even be able to meet, because the original writer that they had basically left. So
fair point.
I get why they will do that, to change a bit the status quo in a bit more favorable way.
Have you played Aperture Desk Job? I've heard good things about that from some Portal fans.
No. But again, even in general, there's the whole meme about Valve not interested in making games anymore, even if it will make sense, like, the Left 4 Dead series. Even
so yeah, remember, they can't count to free.
Yeah. Although, again, it's... you will think that it would be a relatively easy money-maker strategy, but they don't seem to have been particularly interested, to the point that developers migrated towards Warner Bros. In trying to do Back 4 Blood, which did not really work out.
Oops.
Oh,
going up.
Alright, the second goal, and thankfully this mini tower was mercifully shorter.
So are the golem fights more or less the same each time?
Each of them has a new gimmick. In this case, the stained glass windows on the ground are covered up, so you need to bait the golem into doing the downward smash attempt in order to, break the metal.
Huh. Bit like Grundy's site from Arkham City.
To an extent, in that one, the cover, very intermittent. You just need to wait until the proper timing. In here, you need to bait the boss into uncovering it. Like this. Ow.
Well, you technically got it on there, so good job, champ.
Thankfully, I don't have Mark Hamill telling me witty commentary for this one.
I'm surprised he's been quiet for a while now.
Again...
Yeah, I mean, you get someone like Mark Hamill and you don't really give him much to say.
It's mostly about the fucking cutscenes, I guess. But again, for example, the cutscene we will get after we bring the energy back to Azrael for this one will involve the Watcher again. So I get the idea it was more of a case where Mark might have been genuinely too expensive for the team, so they had to basically choose very carefully in how much to use him in the recording booth.
That'd be like, imagine if while he was the Joker, you only had like a handful of lines per season.
But yeah, no, like, part of me wonders if, again, it might have been more so the fact that we weren't yet in the mentality of having a lot of banter happen during gameplay in games. Usually just with the cutscenes.
Which was also itself a remnant of the God of War games and Devil May Cry to an extent. Because remember, even again in Devil May Cry, you usually get dialogue just in the cutscenes. Which of course, sometimes, depending on the games, you will get cutscenes in between the fight to spice things up, but otherwise you will have get them at the beginning or at the end.
I definitely put down good money betting that, again, in a more modern game, this would have totally been a section where they would have had Mark Hamill bantering it up to help fill in the time every now and then.
Again, the first Nier kind of does that, so if you remember. Even in its original format, which had still relatively limited dialogue, still had combat, banter, so that.
Oh yeah.
And that came out the same year as this.
Maybe that game was the turning point, I wonder?
Or, was developed by a different team that wanted to do something different. Again, I don't know what to tell you. Alright, time to deflect the beams again. War, professional electrician, the cable guy.
Look, I had to be multi-talented just in case the war profession didn't turn out well after college.
Yeah, it turns out, graduating from the war course is harder than I thought.
Clearly.
I mean, seriously, I didn't know that for war you had to have a reason why you declared it. It just seemed so easy when I saw it on TV.
Oh, maybe you should be like a peacemaker, someone who desired peace so much that he will, kill everyone for it.
That sounds more like Homelander.
Well, okay, that's the thing, Lives. This kind of premise, as bonkers it was, worked a bit better in the Silver Age, where comic book, superheroes did have this kind of weird, mentality and proclamations of justice. It was enforced a bit better in the comics themselves, where, Peacemaker did have options to for non-lethal takedown for his enemies. So that actually was pretty neat. The premise of that in itself was actually particularly, goofy when you think about it, hence the direction James Gunn put the character in.
If war was actually a university course, this guy would really struggle with the what to do if the enemy is surrendering parts.
Well, it depends. Some iterations of war are just murder hobos. Some actually are the most well put together of the Horsemen because they have to be in order to not let the bloodlust control them.
He'd probably take that episode of The Simpsons approach, where the enemy was surrendering to the Springfielders, yet the Springfielders charged and killed them all anyway.
Hold strong, men! Their white flags are no use against our guns!
Muskets. Charge! And the Springfielders bravely slaughtered their enemies as they prayed for mercy.
Alright, so this room, which we've been before, you may notice while, when I was traversing, it is all about weights and measures, literally. You need to put the weights onto the scales in order to tilt them properly. Although in this case you also have the caveats when you need to match the mirrors in order to, deflect the beams right from the top to the bottom. So it requires a bit of tracking up and down.
These seem like fine enough puzzles. I think my only issue would be that some of them look a little too slow for their own good, but...
They can get, they can get tedious, so yes.
Because, look, me, I don't mind a good puzzle every now and then, but I do not like one that feels like it's wasting my time just because it can.
His latest quest was most unsatisfying.
Hey, Konami, get to working on that Dr. Lautrec sequel that takes place in Milan, Italy.
First of all, they need to actually properly release the game, because as far as, 3DS, game, okay, it was also Beyond the Labyrinth, because that one was never released outside of Japan, but, yes.
What's that game about?
It's a currently it's like a dungeon crawler, but I think it was developed at least partially by Tri-Ace. I have no idea why it was never localized.
Yeah, Tri-Ace are relatively popular enough. I mean,
well, that depends, because it's more about the companies that they forge a contract with. For example, they also developed around the time a Fantasy Star game for the PS Vita, and if you can imagine, that one was not released in the West either, if I recall correctly. Let me see.
Feels weird that we're now in a world where Phantasy Star 2 Online is just now readily available across the world.
Where for the most part, for a good chunk of years, it was like the most requested Sega games to be localized.
Like, I am glad localization has come the ways that it has. Like, God, as an Ace Attorney fan, it was feeling hopeless at first,
Yeah, there
and
you
now.
go. Phantasy Star Nova
hello.
for the PS Vita that was released only in Japan and other Asian territories. That's it. Yeah, again, it's more of a case where, you know, a lot of people don't remember already the fact that up until 2015, roughly, people really needed to struggle tooth and nail in order to have a lot of games actually leave leave the original country of release of Japan.
And it
Europe,
sucked especially because
Europe did have
it
a
sucked
better time, mind you, but especially with Nintendo. But the whole Operation Rainfall program was it started specifically because of the fact that Pandora's Tower, Xenoblade Chronicles, and The Last Story were released only in Europe, and the Wii, if I recall correctly, was not even region free. So
No, I think it took till the Switch for Nintendo to be fully region free. You know, aside from those handhelds before the 3DS. Actually, I think the DSi was region locked, was it?
I don't remember. So,
Oh, and those of you new to gaming don't know how well you have it, at least with region-free consoles, because not only, you know, was localization tough to get by, but because by the mid-2010s a lot of consoles were region-locked, you had to buy a console from a certain region if you wanted to play something legally, even. Like, nowadays, we're back to having relatively region-free consoles, and yeah, localization's definitely been seeing a boom. Like, it was one thing that Great Ace Attorney was, you know, finally exported. It was insane that the way they introduced that export was by having it be available physically. Like, Ace Attorney had not seen a physical game since at least 2009.
No, okay, the first investigation.
Miles Edgeworth investigations, yeah. And now they're all available on cartridges. Beautiful.
And hey, Final Fantasy VII finally managed to make it onto a cartridge decades after they tried to fit it in but couldn't.
God, I'll never forget. Now that magazine where they make fun of cartridges is just hilarious in hindsight.
I mean, if they somehow did manage to do all that, the only way you could possibly do that without the game running like molasses is have like the game be packaged with like 60 cartridges.
Alright, let's try to find a way to redirect the beings to a second skull.
Of course, what about that 64 DD?
Yeah, Dwibs, don't forget the majesty of the 64 expansion pack.
Yeah,
that would totally
expand your dome
save
today.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think I heard recent news that Nintendo Switch Online is finally going to be adding DK64 to the lineup.
It is, yeah. So we'll get to hear that. We'll finally get to hear that god awful, amazing rap.
Okay, the rap's amazing, no slander. What is going to be a bit of a pain, though, is if one of us tries to, complete the damn thing.
Well, I mean,
yeah, I'm not. I'll play the game on my own, but I'm not going
I've honestly
to.
seen worse games to be completed 100%, but that's not the topic now. Let's go talk to Azrael again.
The universe is sick, Horseman.
You don't say.
To admit it, but those of us who look, we see. We had to do something. An open attack
Make it even sicker.
Would violate the treaty. What you're proposing is madness.
So here's what happens. This was Abaddon's plan the whole time. What a surprise.
The council ties our hands.
To question them is to question the Creator. Do you believe you know better?
Yes, old friend.
Creator is talking bollocks.
When the seals are broken, Hell will send its chosen to declare battle rights. Their leaders will be gathered in one place, and there we will sever the head of the beast. The Hellguard stands ready.
Breaking the seals will trigger the end war. The kingdom of man is not yet strong enough. Earth will be destroyed.
Though there will
Oh,
be no
so
war,
we were
my
supposed to wait until
We
us
will cross
Earthlings
the
were
Yes,
ready
uh,
to deal with hell.
It was
Good to
mentioned. It
know.
was mentioned in the
Is a sacred
opening.
covenant. Even in victory, we will face the wrath of the council.
They will arrive to find the seals intact. And it will be our word, Heaven's word, against that of the Prince of
Heaven's
Lies.
sword, you mean?
Now do you
Uh,
see?
So basically, we're just gonna use Lucifer's reputation against
All will
him.
believe that Hell's
that's
legions
kind of
invaded and were
providing.
delivered to justice by order.
Alright.
For the
It's like,
glory of the
yeah, I get it.
And of
It's
course, Ultane had a part in this, that's why he has been stuck here, forging this particular blade that was capable of destroying the seals.
this plan in no way can go sideways.
We broke all but one. Abaddon ordered the final seal not be harmed. He protected it himself. Are you certain? Without question. We
Does his face look uncertain to you?
involve the Horseman. We never dreamed we would have to until it was too late. Yet I am to pay the
Yeah, that was our bad.
Treason! War. You will root out all involved and make them pay. Starting with this one.
No.
Fool! You deny the will of the council?
You heard the angel's confession. My service to the council is ended.
True.
Yeah, that's
maybe
not.
not.
How it works, so.
We made you. We own you. You're not done until you find the destroyer and shut him down. Balance, remember? Get up. Azrael lives until he stops being useful. After that, you will do your duty.
Fine. Alright.
Fine, Mom.
Time for the next part where we complete the rest of the tower and we probably also square off against Straga. See ya.
See you
Aye.
then.